Greetings everyone, and I hope you're all fine and dandy out there in collecting land, and welcome back to the channel again for another 1/6 scale figure unboxing and review. And today we're going to be taking a deep dive into Big Chief Studios' 1/6 scale take on Dr Julius No, as played by Joseph Wiseman in the very first movie outing of Ian Fleming's super spy James Bond back in 1962. The review will take the usual format. We'll have a quick look at the box, then it'll be down onto the table for a look at all the accessories. Then it will be out with the first ever Bond villain himself for an up-close look. And then we'll be wrapping the whole thing up with the usual showcase at the end, where we'll reintroduce him to his nemesis, Bond. James Bond. I just have to say that. But before we dive into it, I'd like to say a huge thank you to everyone who's subscribed to and supported the channel. And to those of you watching who haven't subscribed, come on, join the party. It's cost and pain free. All you need to do is hit that subscribe button and that bell notification icon to enter a world of action figure, statue and movie memorabilia goodness. So, background. As regulars to the channel will know, I'm a huge Bond fan, and rumour has it I was named after him. But I was also a massive fan of Big Chief Studios before they went belly up last year. I won't open up the whole BCS debate, as we've covered that in previous videos. Suffice it to say, they will be sorely missed. And in my opinion, with the right guidance, they could have been UK's answer to caustic plastic, but sadly, it was never meant to be. But that's enough of my reminiscing. On to the box itself. Before we get into this as well, just like to say that this actually came as a pair with the James Bond figure, and there'll be a link to the review for that figure as well at the end of this video. So please check that one out. But yeah, I'll have to say from the get-go as well, this is not a new figure to me. I had it since its release about 2 or 3 years ago, so I've had a chance to live with it and get to know it. Did you see what I did there? Get to know it, because it's Dr. No. Yeah. Moving swiftly on, the box. Let's stop it from spinning and take a close-up look. It's the usual Big Chief Studios fare here. What we're looking at is a shoebox design, but it's just very nicely done. It's very classy, for want of a better expression. What you've got is this sort of super high gloss gun barrel effect going on, and it's the same with the James Bond, the 007 figure that we reviewed. You've got sort of a gun barrel spread over the front and the right hand side of the box itself, and within that gun barrel you've got various shots of the figure. And it says Dr. No there as well. And as I say, you've got this sort of, it's an off-white with this sort of super high gloss cream coloured effects for the gun barrel, which is just really nice. And at the bottom here it says Dr. No, character replica figures, 1/6 scale, and you've got all these multicoloured dots which replicate the opening titles for the film. Around the left hand side, it's a continuation of that gun barrel effect. It says 007, continuation of those dots. On the right hand side, obviously the continuation of the gun barrel, another picture of the figure, Dr. No at the top, continuation of the dots. We'll bring it round to the back. Well, actually, we'll take a look at the top first. I'll bring this back round. On the top, Dr. No in that same sort of high gloss finish. And on the bottom here, all the usual warnings and credits and so on. This was a limited edition run. This is 192 of 1,000. But yeah, all the warnings are on there. Don't piss this figure off, or you may wake up with a tarantula in your bed. We'll take a look at the back. On the back here, Dr. No, character replica. There's a whole blurb about Big Chief Studios. There's a blurb about Bond, a blurb about Dr. No. If you wanted to read that, hit the pause button. And then down at the bottom, we've got the BCS logo and Dr. No Collector's Edition. Actually, what we will do, as I mentioned, this is not a new figure, so the figure isn't actually in the box, but we're going to try and open this up on camera because there's quite a lot going on the inside of this box as well. We'll put the top to one side. So on the side here, you've got all the specifications and the accessories, everything that comes not only with the Dr. No figure, but with the James Bond figure as well. Around the back, obviously, that's we've seen that because that's facing out of the box itself. Credits here of everybody involved in the design and production. And with a lot of BCS figures, you get this rather nice inlay. Now, once again, it's got a picture of the figure itself there. Very nicely done that. They've obviously put it into a sort of a diorama of Dr. No's lair. It says Dr. No twice on there. You've got a continuation of those dots. And it's sort of party piece, this inlay card. If you actually flip it round, What you've got here is another sort of photographic representation of Dr. No's lair. You can use this for photography. You can use it in as a backdrop if in details, if you use a detail, or in any other kind of display that you're putting together. A nice little touch there from Big Chief Studios. I have to say though, this is a very blurry photo. I don't know whether it's me, I ain't got my glasses on, but that looks very blurry to me. Not very sharp at all. Could have been better, that photograph, but it is what it is. So yeah, that's the inlay card, that's the box. So without further ado, let's do what we always do. Let's dive down onto the table and have a look at all the accessories that come with Dr. No. Okay, so here we are, down on the table with all the accessories that come with your Dr. No figure from Big Chief Studios. Not a vast amount to go at here. Those who have seen my James Bond review will probably notice that there was a hell of a lot more accessories with that figure, but yeah, it is what it is. So we'll do what we always do, and we'll start with the hands. There are two pairs of hands. There's a pair already on the figure, and the swap out pair that we've got here. We'll have a quick look at them. Now, obviously, Bond aficionados will know, and Dr. No aficionados will know that Dr. Julius No lost his hands in an accident and had them replaced with black metal hands. It looks like Big Chief Studios have done quite a good job at actually capturing how they look in the film itself. So yeah. There's not an awful lot of give in these because, I mean, these hands aren't used for posing. There's some flexibility, but essentially very, very simple design. It's got this high gloss black finish to give it that metallic look, which is screen accurate. You've got some sculpted in rivets on the side there, this strip across the back of the hand itself, which carries on down to the thumb area as well. Very, very simple, very, very straightforward, but yeah, and very effective and screen accurate. So yeah, that's and the other hand is pretty much identical to that one. We'll take a look, as I say, at the other hands when we bring the figure out. So yeah, they're the swap out hands. We'll put those to one side. What else do you get? You also get a set of instructions. We'll get these out of the way. Quite nicely done, these, I must admit. It's just a single sheet that's been folded over, but it's been done to look like a top secret document. It says top secret across the top for your eyes only. But it's actually instructions, and very, very simple, just on how to swap out the hands and how the stand operates and swapping out the batteries. So yeah, that's the instructions. Also comes with a certificate of authenticity with a printed signature from Mark Andrews, the CEO of Big Chief, and Greg Andrews, the creative director. So nice little touch there, and it says Dr. No on the other side there. So yeah, nice little touch, and you can use that in the display if you want to. I'll put that to one side. Let's get rid of some of these smaller accessories. He comes with 2 cigarettes in a cigarette holder. I've got sausage fingers, so I have to be careful here. This one's a little bit bent. There's the one already on the figure itself. It's all very small, all one piece of sculpted plastic. Very simply done. Black for the cigarette holder in high gloss. The cigarette itself is in white, and there's a bit of red on the end there to signify it's burning. So yeah, 2 of those. Put that to one side. You also get the tarantula in a box. Now, from the scene where he passes the tarantula on to one of his minions to dispatch Bond. Very simple, all one piece of sculpted plastic. Sort of opaque, semi-translucent on the sides here. Some brown paint applications on the top, and the rivets are picked out with black paint. But yeah, pretty nicely sculpted. If we can catch the light right here, now I'm going to try to figure out which side it is. I think we can just see it. Yeah, there you go. If the light's catching this, there's actually a tarantula inside. Nice little touch there from Big Chief. They put a tarantula inside the tarantula box. So yeah, tarantula to one side. You also get a bottle of champagne, just green sculpted plastic with a label on the front. Not that much detail there, but pretty nicely done. No liquid inside, or no plastic inside to represent liquid, but yeah, a bottle of champers there if you wanted to use that in the display. You also get this little Buddha, tiny little sculpted plastic Buddha with a sort of gold stroke bronze paint application to it, this smiling Buddha. Now, people who've seen the film will recognise this, because Dr. No picks this up and crushes it with one of his hands to demonstrate his anger and his strength all in one go. So yeah, you can have him holding that as well if you want. So yeah, there's the little Buddha. We'll put him to one side. And finally, the the Big Chief Studio stand. Now, you know my feelings on this one. I have a love-hate relationship with the Big Chief Studio stands. I'm sort of growing to love them as time passes. But we'll have a quick look at it. Yeah, the base itself, the stand itself, is all one piece of sculpted plastic. It's sort of this oval shape with this silver section on the top here. You've got this raised section at the front. On the bottom, it says Collector Edition, Big Chief Studios logo, and the usual credits there. You've got 6 individual felt feet on here, which is really nice to see. So if you're displaying this on a glass shelf or in your detolf, or if you have detolfs, it ain't going to move around too much. Nice touch. And also, yeah, it comes with the battery-operated feature. You've got a compartment here that takes 3 AAA batteries, already in the stand itself, and an on-off button. And we'll come back to how that works, because what we need for that to work is this section now. It's this acrylic piece. Now, pretty much all of the Bond lineup that Big Chief Studios did before they disappeared off the face of the planet came with these stands. Now, this clear piece of acrylic has got Dr Julius No, and I'm not sure how that's... I think that looks like it's been stamped on. I don't think it's a transfer. I don't think it's been painted on, but yeah, it says Dr. Julius No on the front and Dr. No, and that slots in to this front section of the stand here. Those familiar with this stand will know where this is going, although this one is a little bit difficult to go in. Yeah, that slots in the front there. What you've got are a strip of LEDs at the bottom there, if the camera can see that. Yeah, there you go. So you throw the little switch on the bottom there, and they'll come on instantaneously. That is nothing short of a miracle. There is a touch sensor button somewhere, there it is, right on the side here. These can be very, very temperamental. Sometimes they work brilliantly, sometimes they are utterly useless, hence my love-hate relationship. So yeah, once you've got them on, you can slot in the acrylic piece like this, and I think the lights have gone off again. Yes, they have. And this is where we encounter issues with this. It's not a feature I use. It's nice that they include it. It's a nice touch. When it does work, it can look very good. But yeah, what happens is those LEDs diffuse through the acrylic, and they light up the edges and throw some light on the front as well, and give that nice sort of highlighted effect for the nameplate itself. So yeah. And let's see if it wants to switch off. Oh, there you go. Sweet spot somewhere around about 9 o'clock. If you hit that, it should work. Standard issue crotch grabber, as always. Yeah, that slots straight in there. And that's it. That's everything that comes with your Dr. No figure. So without further ado, let's bring out the first ever Bond villain, get him onto this stand, onto the turntable, and find out what he's all about. Okay, so here he is. It's Dr. No himself, onto the stand, onto the turntable, and I couldn't resist putting him in the now iconic pose, holding the cigarette with his arm behind his back. I couldn't resist, as I say. So, can't really give first impressions on this figure, simply because I've had it in the collection for 2 or 3 years. But I can, as always, give 300, 600, whatever impression it might be. And I am still impressed with this figure today. I still think the proportions are nailed on. The outfit is almost 100%. The head sculpt is almost 100%. Relatively simple figure from the outside, but as we all know, getting a tailored suit spot on in a 6-scale figure is probably, I think, one of the hardest things a manufacturer will ever undertake. And I know this sounds crazy in a world of ridiculously complex die-cast figures, but it's just my opinion. I think getting that suit right is really, really difficult. And it looks like they have absolutely nailed it on here. So we'll do what we always do before this turns into a gush fest, and we'll stop him from spinning, get him into camera, and have a close-up look at him. So let's start at the bottom, as we always do. We'll start with these feet. Now, what we're looking at here is a pair of cream loafers, plastic cream loafers, and it's all one sculpted foot here, which is actually pegged into the leg. But yeah, at the bottom of the feet there, you've got these lovely cream loafers, which are screen accurate 100%. He wore cream loafers in the film. There's a little bit of weathering on there. They're not completely clean, which is really nice to see. There's some just lightly weathered, and there's some weathering on the soles as well, which is another nice touch. But yeah, underneath these sculpted loafers, you've got white socks too. 100% screen accurate. That he wore white socks in the film. Not an awful. There is some movement in here, but not a vast amount. You got lateral movement, but the backwards and forwards movement is okay as well. Pretty good movement, yeah. And the only thing I would say is if you do overextend this foot, it will twist this sock, which can be a bit of a pain. But on the whole, you're not really going to go for a dynamic pose with this figure. It's not one to be dynamically posed. So let's move up to this suit. Now, I'll try and get him all in shot for this. Now, this suit is really, really well tailored. The fit, the finish, 100% screen accurate. The straight trousers, and I'm going to talk about 1/6 scale stitch work here only briefly because, as regulars to my channel will know, it's a bugbear of mine when that stitching is out. But yeah, they've captured the cut and the finish of this suit absolutely spot on. And it literally, all this figure is a pair of pants and a jacket on top of the actual figure itself. There's nothing else going on here. So they had to get this tailoring just right. There's no padding or anything like that in the body to give it shape, so it needed to be 100% on, and they've nailed it on. The length of the jacket is right. This jacket is actually velcroed at the front there, as are the pants themselves, but I couldn't see why you'd want to take that off. Maybe one minor issue there is that, and I think this is a time thing, when you've got velcro at the top here with this collar, it's just ever so slightly, if the camera's catching this, starting to come away. I'm going to remove this this extra cigarette holder, put it to one side because it will go flying. Let's lower this arm as well. I've got to say the body is not perhaps the best I've ever come across. The joints they're okay. There's movement in there, but they do feel a little bit, I'm not going to say cheap is the wrong word, but 6 scale collectors will know when you feel that body, and you know it's not the best quality in the world, but it is what it is. The tailoring, spot on. Now, let's take a look at this head sculpt. Before we do that, though, we'll just mention, actually, although this may look like a shirt underneath this high-collared jacket, it isn't. This collar is actually stitched into the jacket itself, as are the cuffs here. So it's just one jacket. That's all you're looking at. We'll bring this arm down as well. These are the other hands that we mentioned when we were down on the table. Now, these are the gripping hands. So these hands can hold the tarantula box or the champagne bottle, or you can even simulate him pre-crushing a Buddha. Yeah, let's take a look at the back. That stitch work is continued at the back. Just very simple, very, very nicely cut. Let's have a look at this head sculpt. Now, let's get this as close as we can to the camera. Now, I think this is a very, very good head sculpt of Joseph Wiseman. Now, obviously, he was under a lot of makeup when he played Dr. No, but I think they have captured him very, very well indeed. The skin texture and tone is really, really good. The eyes are nice and glassy and the right colour. The hair is good. Yeah, there are individual strands in there and the colour's right. There is a visible seam line, barely visible seam line across the top of the head, but that's negligible. The eyes, I think, are probably the hardest thing to do because he had eye makeup on to give him a more oriental look, and they've captured that. And it wasn't uniform, it wasn't asymmetrical. There was slightly more on this left eye than there was on the right eye, and they've captured that really well. But yeah, there's some furrows in the eyebrows, there's even the dimple in his cheek there, which is once again accurate to Joseph Wiseman. It's a fixed neck head sculpt. There's a decent amount of movement in there, the range of movement's very good, yeah, on the whole. But I mean, you don't need a vast amount of movement in this head sculpt, simply, as I said, because it's not one for hugely dynamic poses. And the couple of bugbears, I would say, and I'll bring out some photos actually at this point, and they are minor. They're to do with the actual head sculpt. I'll bring in a shot here. Now, we are looking at obviously through 2 screens here, so perhaps not ideal. But there you get an idea of how accurate that head sculpt is. It's not perfect. I would give it we'll save the score for the end. But it's not absolutely 100%, but it's good. It's very, very good. The lips are perhaps not quite as spot on as they should be, and maybe those eyes could be a little bit closer together. But I think, on the whole, I am nitpicking here. I think it's a very good head sculpt. What also comes out of actually looking at this photo as well is the material that's used in the actual suit. Now, having revisited the film and looked at these stills as well, it looked to me like the suit he wore in the film was silk. Now, I'll just put this to one side so I can use both hands here. Now, what we're looking at here with this figure, it's a cotton material with a pattern in it. And I hope the camera can catch this pattern. There's a sort of cross pattern in the cotton itself. Now, that pattern isn't there in the suit in the film, as far as I can tell, and I believe the material was more silk-like. But I think what Big Chief have done here is opt for the next best option, shall we say? And I suppose you have to take a little bit of artistic license. Putting a silk suit on a 6-scale figure would just blow the price through the roof. So they've come up with a solution to that and used a bit of artistic license. But, it is what it is. I still think this is a very, very good figure. Is it 100%? No. Let's get him back on the stand and get him revolving again so we can give our final thoughts on this piece. Let's get him, slow him down a little bit. So, yeah, final thoughts on this guy. Screen accuracy, almost 100%. Head sculpt, almost 100%. It's one of those that is so close to being perfect, but just slightly falls down at the end there. I still love it, though. I love it even though it's not perfect. I think the head sculpt is fantastic. I think the proportions are great. I think alongside the James Bond figure, it looks phenomenal. So it displays really well, and it really, really captures the spirit of Joseph Wiseman as Dr. No. A score, well, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. I'm knocking just a little bit off for that head sculpt not being exactly spot on. I'm probably being really, really nitpicky here. And maybe that material not being 100% accurate. And also as well, didn't mention as well, we'll stop him from spinning so we can, so I can just mention this and get him off the stand again. Whether you can actually see this, but when that head sculpt is straight like that, there is a slight unevenness to this collar. Now, I'll push it in a little bit. Now, that's where it should be, but when I release my hand, that's where it goes to. Now, I don't know what's causing that. It's been like that since I got it, and as I say, I got it new. Now, it could be a number of things. It maybe just futzing this across the shoulder area, but it always seems to go back to being just ever so slightly off-center. But that's, once again, that's me and my OCD. So, yeah, we're going to go with a 9 on this one. That's a culmination of just a few minor points off for the head sculpt, minor points off for that collar, and maybe some minor points off for the material that they've used. But as I say, I don't think silk really would have been an option for a 6-scale figure unless you wanted to be paying in 4 figures for it. So there you have it. That is Dr. Julius No from the first ever Bond movie. So what's your take on this? Please drop a comment in the comment section below. I'll be fascinated to hear. Do you think this is accurate as I think it is? Is it something you've got in your collection? Are you a Bond collector? I would be fascinated to hear. Yeah, if you're not, still drop a comment in the comment section below. I'd like to know what you think of the figure, and maybe a Big Chief Studios as well, and what happened to them. So yeah, there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed this review. I hope it's been useful. Before we go over to the showcase, what's coming up? There's quite a lot in the 6-scale world. Coming up on the channel, we've got the Caustic Plastic Horror of Dracula double pack. We've got the In-Art Batman. We've got Og Toys Duke Leto from June to go with the Gurney Halleck that we reviewed recently. Mondo's MacReady from The Thing. That's will be on its way to us shortly. Premiere Toys Interstellar Pack, Blitzway Astro Boy version. I could go on. There's a shed load of present toys as well coming in. I'm not even going to list those because that list just goes on and on. Yeah, and we're also going to be doing some mini showcases. Rather than doing a full collection room tour that lasts 2 or 3 hours, what we're going to do is break it down into genres. We're going to be kicking off with everything Batman. So that's coming up on the channel. So hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification icon, so you're not missing anything. And all it remains for me to say, if I can say it, is a massive thank you for watching. From myself, from Dr. No, take care of yourselves, happy collecting, and it's over to the showcase.